Hello and welcome to More Tea Minister. My name is Ian. Today we are looking at another example of a Dong Ding Oolong, once again made from Qingxin, and obviously therefore from Taiwan. This one is from the vendor Marilyn. Now, to say that Marilyn is the vendor is a little bit misleading because the people who run Marilyn, they've got family farms, family connections in Taiwan from whom they source the tea, or at least a lot of the tea, and they also undertake a degree of final processing of tea so that they will do custom baking or roasting of tea leaves. Now in this instance we have a light oxidation Dong Ding, but it's available in 3 degrees of roasting. And when I was thinking about what degree of roasting I wanted to go for, I checked Marilyn's own website and the kind of flavour parameters. So the lightly roasted Dong Ding, excuse me while I just read my laptop, is fragrant orchids aroma, citrus and sweet flavour and smooth creaminess. The medium roasted is osmanthus honey, peachy and creamy. And the heavily roasted Dong Ding, award-winning, is rich, award-winning flavour with butterscotch notes and thick texture. And it comes from the Dong Ding region of Lugu in Nantou County in Taiwan. So in that sense, it is classic, lightly oxidized and, as I say, roasted to one of 3 different levels. So according to the roasting levels, you will find from floral and citrus notes and the less oxidized teas to rich sweetness with hints of butterscotch, honey and biscuits on the heavily roasted oolongs. So I've gone for the dark roasting, the most heavily roasted, and that's in part because the other 2 flavour profiles for the light and the medium sounded like things that we'd kind of hit upon fairly frequently, but less so with a sort of thick butterscotch kind of aspect. So that's why we've gone for this tea. What we're going to do is take a close look at the tin. Very pleased to get a tea in a tin. And there's internal packaging to examine. And then we're going to take a look at the leaves. And then we are going to have 2 tastings of the tea, all as part of our review, a Western or Teapot style brew, and a Gongfu session. So let's carry on. Here we are looking at the external packaging, which is a tin for our Marilyn heavily roasted Dong Ding tea. I think this is the first time that we have reviewed a tea from Marilyn. They don't all come in the tin packaging, but I think it's fantastic that this is one of the few times we actually have a tin to review. So there's the lid, looking at the Marilyn logo. Let's turn it over, and we start at the front. Marilyn, tea from our farms and friends, a great taste sticker there for 2019. Artisanal loose leaf, and then down here, don't know how well you can see it, dark roasted Dong Ding. Let's turn it round a bit further. Right, where can we best start? There we go. Marilyn again, the label. Welcome to Marilyn, a place where muntjacks follow their dreams and where our family's passion for tea has been handed down through generations of farmers in Taiwan. And then Reeves the muntjack, this is his little symbol here. Reeves tea inspection notes. Our artisanal loose leaf tea comes from our farms and friends. Thank you for supporting craft tea makers and tea farmers. Let me just move this up. Winter, spring, autumn, the many seasons of tea, the most tasty brews. There's Marilyn website. And Reeves Tea Guide. Add tea leaves. Well, that's a very good start. Heat the water, a good start. Brew tea leaves. Well, I think that's admirably concise. For brewing temperatures and time, please see instructions online or inside the tin. Now let me turn this to the back. And we've got ingredients, tea, nutritional information. Please drink me before. There's a best before date somewhere. And then there's information, once again, contact details for Marilyn. I'm going to take this away and move to the internal packaging. Ah, good. It's the right shape that I should be able to lay this out for you. There we go. Marilyn Dark Roasted Dong Ding. Once again, we've got that sticker denoting Great Taste Award 2019. Chin Chin Cultivar. Ingredients: tea, net weight of 50 grams, and then how to contact or follow Marilyn. So now let's take a look at the tea inside. This is the Dark Roasted Dong Ding from Marilyn. Well, they weren't kidding, it's dark roasted, it's black. There's not really any way around it. The tea beads are black, and it may look like there's some more subtle shading under the extra light and the magnification, but to the eye, not really. Maybe the stem material is ever so slightly dark chocolate rather than black. The tea beads seem relatively uniform, pretty small, about 3 to 5, maybe, no, so more like 2 to 4 millimeters on average, with of course the usual qualifications about outliers. The smell of the tea, very roasted, very, very roasted, very strong, high smoke and roast notes. But because of that, there is also that dark chocolate and hopefully some of that licorice and aniseed aspect coming through as well. There is certainly something sweet and very complex behind the roast and the smoke, and I'm looking forward to seeing what it is. So let's brew these teas. Here we are with the first of our 2 tastings for today's tea, the Dark Roasted Dong Ding from Marilyn. Now I'm doing with this what I did with the competition grade Dong Ding in the previous video. I haven't poured out the second one yet, because I wanted to address this one whilst it was still hot and allow the other one to finish its brewing. This has gone through a remarkable number of changes in the aroma as it's been steeping. It's gone from sugar, burnt sugar and caramel with wine and smoke. There's been vanilla, there's been a strong element of sweet, I think I mentioned wine. Imagine you've had something like a baked custard tart or just a baked custard, and it's got the skin, and the skin is a combination of sweet and vanilla and, well, caramelized, almost burnt. That's what we've got. It's still got an almost fruity edge and still got a kind of esters edge to it, which is phenomenal considering how roasted it is. We'll take a quick smell at the second steeping. Yeah, that's still too hot to really pick up much, but I just wanted to record the flavours, the aromas in the first steeping. Now the parameters here, I learnt my lesson from the previous video with a competition grade Dong Ding, where I was using exactly the same amount of a 1-to-1 ratio, 1 to 100, 1 gram of tea to 100 mils. In this instance, what I've done is I've tweaked it slightly. It's 2.3 grams of tea in 180 mils of water, because that's what our wee teapot comfortably holds. 95 degrees for 4 minutes, so it's a good long steep and a good high temperature, just to get the most out of this tea, and it's phenomenal stuff. Let's take a look at the colours. If the tea on the right, the second steep, is brass, the one on the left is a sort of red copper. And just to clarify, the second steep, it's the same tea leaves, but again, re-steeped in fresh 95 degrees centigrade water for 4 minutes, 180 mils. So, same parameters. One more time on the slightly now cooler tea. It's predominantly almost caramel and burnt sugar. It's great. And here, as we're cooling slightly, we're getting, the burnt elements, not burnt, that's not fair, but the really, really roasted smoky edge is coming to the fore, and everything is coming in behind it, whether it's fruit or sugar. So Just at this stage, we're just getting to a balance between the roasted and sweetness. So we're going to try the first steep. It's fruit. It's very, very sweet fruit. Medium body, light to medium, no, just below medium. Flavour's lingering already, that's good. Still perhaps a little thin, but it's lingering, so the brewing time is good. Yeah, still just a touch thin. There's almost a savoury, meaty edge without roasting, but there's something fruity and puddingy coming in behind. But yeah, the first thing that strikes you is an almost meat edge, but there's still something almost like a super dark, a super rich red wine. Something slightly volatile, something, yeah, something very intensely fruity but volatile. It's another really good showing. And the smokiness and that volatile kind of red wine is lingering on the palate, which is really impressive. And funnily enough, that the savoury edge is there, I would say even more strongly on the cup, on the jug for the second steeping, as is the sort of wine element. In fact, it's almost like a brandy. I suppose because it's not quite as sweet. Syrup, a strong, smoky, almost syrup smell. Body is above medium there. Yeah, it's just really savoury. It's savoury. It's caramel. It's got something of that sweet edge to it, burnt sugar sweet edge. I almost feel that if it lost that sweet edge, the kind of caramel, you'd be almost into a sort of a coffee territory, but of really, really good coffee. It's, yeah, that's really, really, really nice. Well, nice isn't the right word. That's damning with faint praise. I like the fact that the second steep has gone up in intensity and it's increased in body as well. And my mouth is full of savoury and burnt sugar and caramel. And as I say, almost like a brandy element, just this hint of the volatiles. And that's a really good combination. I think, and it's always a good sign, I could sit, I won't do because various constraints, I could sit and drink either of those off camera and enjoy them thoroughly. That's always a good sign, and it's not one steeping over the other. The cool one has become caramel shortcake. This one, because the aroma, because the tea is still hot in the jug, is still lots of smoke and roasting. Fantastic showing. Okay, let's move on to our Gongfu. Back in a mo. Hello and welcome to our Gongfu session as a tasting for our Marilyn dark roasted Dong Ding. Our parameters are 95 degrees centigrade. I've kept the tea at 3 grams because it's a pretty intense taste. It's fantastic, but it's pretty intense, and I figure the low volumes of water in our gaiwan probably means we don't need to have too much more tea, if any. because it's 50 mils per steeping. It does make a difference with some teas. We've got our stopwatch and our paper. Remember the strainer for this video. I'm just going to pre-warm everything as soon as we can to the start of our actual session. I've just had a fascinating email from Taiwan Tea Crafts, so a shout out to them. I'd asked them about steeping times and steeping temperatures, and the advice, apart from some very specialized teas, is as hot as you can and pretty high concentration of tea. And we're kind of pushing towards those. The only reason I don't go for as much tea as some suggestions is I can't really taste it. It gets to a certain point where I can't taste it. So let's go with our 3 grams of tea. I really do like the smell of that tea, and it made for an excellent Western style brew, so I expect good things from this as well. I think we'll go for 45 seconds. The cat is just off camera there in his basket, and I don't want to burn him, so just moving the kettle out of his way. Put the lid on there. That's not going to get very far without the lid, is it? A compensatory shugel. I'm trying to imagine what kind of compensation would require being shaken, but there you go. So as I say, we'll check in at 45. Maybe I can move this. All right, that seems out of your way now, doesn't it? I am talking to the cat, not the kettle. All right, 45. That, even from this angle, has picked up that sort of pinkish tinge from the roasting. Yeah, that is... It's like a cross between copper and bronze, because that reddish pinkish tinge is making all the difference. Yeah, we've got a medicinal note, which from the previous tea is the aniseedy licoricey note, one edge of it. Yeah, only a touch of sweetness, lots of volatiles, and a bit of smoke. Oh, that's plenty of flavour already. It is dropping off slightly, but that's hardly a surprise. It's really smooth. Really smooth, creamy, and with a definite hint of the aniseed and licorice. It's not full bore, but it's not going to be. Let's see what that's like now it's cooled down a bit more. Yeah, if anything, it's the smoke that's picked up slightly. I think we'll just do 50 seconds there, because that responded pretty well. Maybe 50, yeah, we'll go with 50, because I don't want to get any bitterness. I imagine this heavy roasting plays some part in making this a little more resilient to bitterness. What I mean by that is simply, I suspect a hint of it is hidden by all of that smokiness, but by the same token, you get it wrong and you'll have something that's too bitter because of the smokiness. So we'll just push that to 50, I think. There's a lovely buttery edge lingering on the palate, so that's really, really, this is an absolute find of a tea, this one. I really don't mind saying that. I'm really enjoying this. I think that's more intense. That was only 5 seconds more. Slight smoky edge with some vegetal notes. We should be taking a look at the leaves as well. They are still at the velvet pebble stage, but they're starting to unravel because they're quite small. It's hard to see. But even the stem material is still very narrow, so it hasn't soaked up that much. That is bronze. I've seen steepings of red tea that are much the same colour, if that helps. It's a definite bronze colour. Ooh. Burnt sugar and caramel, plus a roasted smoky edge, and some of that licorice and aniseed, or at least the medicinal edge of it. Just bringing this temperature down a touch. Body is medium. It's a sugar, yes, sugary, baked, roasted. It's a dessert. It's not cereal. It's not that kind of baked, but if I said a baked pudding, maybe that would help, because it's not biscuit and cereal, it's something deeper. I think that's what is probably best for me to say. With a spicy edge as well, that's what's lingering on the palate already. And I like the smoky finish as well. We will push that. The state of those, we could probably go increase this without risking much. Let's do another 5. And see where that takes us. Our cat over here is a funny cat. Even if I wasn't, even if his basket wasn't here, he'd probably want to sleep up here just because he likes to be around people. He doesn't like to sit on people's knees, but he does like company, don't you? He does like to be just within arm's reach, so he gets a tickle if he wants one, and he can run away if he feels he has to do. Not that he has to run away around here. I might not be quite as cat mad as the females of our household, but I like him. Baked vegetable. If anything, I think that colour's even more intense. Yep, that's an even darker bronze. Wow. Yep, now the medicinal edge is stronger. I do hope that means we're going to be getting the licorice and the aniseed. Not that it's needed, it's a bonus, but there's so much to the baked and roasted edge with all that sweetness. It really is just a bonus. Yeah, that's heading into almost coffee territory. Medium body again. Flavour's not dropping off. I wonder whether we should try to make sure it's not oversteeped or not picking up any kind of unnecessary bitterness, if that makes sense. The leaves are... I tell you what we've got. I think these are going to be very, very leathery. And I suspect the only kind of gauge will not be how much they unfurl, really. It's how soft, whether they're not leathery yet. They're almost like rubber. So we can probably get away with, I think we'll go for 63. I don't know why, but I feel as if a slightly longer steep might bring out more of that medicinal edge, or just give it a chance to come to the fore, see how much of that we can find in the tea. but it's really good. I really like this. You see, even after 30 seconds, there's something there, almost caramel burnt sugar. It's just a really intense tea. It's lovely. And I definitely think you could get more steeps, even lingering on the palate, just breathing in and out and picking up more of that kind of spicy edge. Right, we'll call it 63. That's 63. And hopefully I haven't pushed it too far. That's about the same colour, I would say. In other words, a dark bronze. Lots of sweetness there. See what happens as it cools down. The smoke and the spice is front and centre. Hope that's cooled down. Yeah, smoke and spice with some volatile there. No, we haven't pushed it too far. That medicinal edge is just going to stay as a kind of medicinal quality, and it's very nice for it. I don't think, in this instance, it doesn't need to sort of resolve itself into that licorice and aniseed. It's just really good as it is. I don't think you would want to use any more tea. I think you'd be overwhelmed by one aspect of the flavour profile. Maybe 100 degrees centigrade just to get more out of it, but other than that, that's a fantastic tea, and there's more steeps to go. Easily more steeps to go. In fact, what we might do is go up to 100 degrees centigrade, and yeah, that's still pretty tough. Certainly not leathery. It's not brittle, but it's not far off. So we'll give that a 50-second steeping at 100 and see where it gets us. Funnily enough, there's a good aroma coming off the gaiwan, the lid's on the gaiwan, and there's still a good aroma coming off it. That's a good sign. Whoops. Right, well, that's probably about 10 seconds I've missed on that, so we'll just bring that in at 40, and that should be our 50-second steeping. The fact I haven't needed to increase the amount of water, even at a 5th steeping, tells you that these leaves really aren't going to unfurl or flatten out a great deal. Right, I'm remembering 40 seconds, not 50, because that would be pushing it to a minute. There, 40 seconds, or 50 seconds in reality. A strong kind of caramel burnt sugar note. That's very red. That's a sort of very red bronze, if that makes sense. Yeah, treacle. Getting a treacle note from that. With, funnily enough, because there's volatiles coming off, there's a sort of slightly boot polish turpentine edge. No, it's not. I beg your pardon. It's not there. It's leather. It's a leathery edge. Sorry. Yeah, the sort of leather smell. Yeah. We'll put that back in. I just want to cool it down a bit. Yeah, the leather is front and centre now. Oh, it's sweet as well. It's sweet and it's leathery. And it's just really, really deep, almost meaty. That's really good. And that's a 5th steep. I reckon if I'd done 100 degrees right from the start, you'd really need to watch his steeping times. Do you know, that's still... I suspect that isn't going to change. But after 5 steepings, you can see how narrow those leaves have remained. So we'll call that quits. It's a win. Western style, it's fantastic. Gongfu, it's fantastic. It's savoury, it's sweet, it's burnt sugar, it's caramel, it's meat and it's smoke and it's roast. Not much in the way of cream, some. And the body, funnily enough, certainly at 95, maybe at 100 would be different. Yeah, we've got... Well, I think we've now just got to the caramelized leaf stage on these leaves. Wow. Yeah, really, really tough still. So, you'd really want to be careful about your steepings if you kept this at 100. You could be overwhelmed by it, but it's fantastic. It's really well balanced. The smoke isn't overpowering, it's always complementary. It's really good. It's really good. Now, is it the only dark roast dong ding? I very much doubt it. Is this a good one? Yes. And even if I wasn't saying this as a matter of courtesy, I would say it's worth trying. And therefore, as a matter of courtesy, go through Marilyn. It's really, really, really good. And every now and again, I find a tea so good, I email the vendor, manufacturer and say, thank you very much. So, a brilliant showing, still lingering, a great tea, heartily recommended. Happy steeping. God bless.